How do you know when it's okay to begin leaving your kids alone while you make a quick trip to the grocery store? Or what about for an extended period of time?
Parenting expert Amy McCready is here to give us some guidelines on how parents can balance the need to keep kids safe while giving them the opportunities to become independent. How's it going, Amy?
It's going great. Thanks for having me.
So first off, right out of the gate, does North Carolina have any laws when it comes to how or what age you should leave kids at home?
No, and in fact, most states do not have laws telling parents at what age it's appropriate. So it's really up to the parents to decide. Now, the Academy of Pediatrics and the National Safe Child Campaign, easy for me to say, not today, actually recommends around 12 years old. They said kids aren't really ready to handle emergencies until the age of 12. So that's a guideline, but there really are no laws.
Okay, we asked some of our Facebook friends to weigh in on this subject, and Zenia says, first time we left him alone, he was 12. He has shown he is responsible. Now at 13, sometimes we leave him home alone for about 2 hours.
And Rebecca said that the first time that she left her kid at home for a few hours alone after school was at the age of 9.
And Danielle has 5 children, and she suggests between the ages of 10 and 12, but it depends on the individual kid's confidence and how they handle stress. Yeah. I think that's really important, how they handle stress.
Yeah, and Danielle is right on there because it really depends on the kids themselves.
Well, how can you tell?
Well, some general guidelines are, do they usually follow family rules, and do they make good decisions on their own? That's important. If there are siblings involved, is there a lot of fighting, or do they generally get along pretty well? If they fight every time you leave the room, that might be a little bit of a red flag for leaving them at home. Do they know what to do in an emergency, when and how to call 911? If there's an older child and a younger, is the older one really prepared to take care of the littler one? So it depends on how comfortable you feel with those things.
Let's talk about that. As an older child, I was always put in that position of having to take care of the younger ones. So is that doing them a disservice, though, the older child, putting them in that position to be responsible, or is that the right thing to do?
Well, they have to be really prepared. And, if different things would come up, if there's a potty accident, if somebody gets sick, how are they going to handle those things? So you really have to do some training and prepare them for that. One of the other things that we often talk about is from a sibling rivalry standpoint, it's really not a great idea to put one child in charge of the other. So if you're going to leave them home alone, you give each one specific tasks. So Mike, you're in charge of making the lunch, and Vonda, you're in charge of cleaning up after the lunch. You're not in charge, one isn't in charge of the other.
Macaroni and cheese sandwich?
Right. There you go.
You got it.
So let me ask you this. When it comes to role playing, I always feel like maybe we should run through these scenarios, but does that make me an overzealous father for doing that?
No, that's exactly what you should be doing. We have to really start with training. So think of all the possible scenarios. What are you going to do if somebody calls on the phone? What do you do if somebody comes to the door? And when would you call 911? And then practice that. So have them call you on your cell phone, and you role play the typical questions that a 911 operator might ask.
That's a great idea.
You also want to set some ground rules. So what's okay when you're not home? Are they allowed to use the stove? Are they allowed to use technology? Are they, just general do's and don'ts are really important. And then also giving them a list of things to do.
Yeah.
Kids love this, right? Yeah. So give them a list of family contributions that they have to get done before you come home, maybe finish their homework, and when they're finished with those things, then they can watch a movie that you've all kind of agreed on ahead of time.
When then.
You love that.
Amy, thank you.